Welcome back to Unfiltered Mumiverse. We are
Chris
and Jules, and today we brought another guest for you. We talked a little bit about mindfulness, communication, and the difference between stress and anxiety.
We want to talk as well about reality, not perfection, as we see in social media, and how important is therapy.
We are hoping that you're gonna love this episode as much as we already do, and please let us know, as usual, what you think. So, should we introduce our guest, Christina?
Today, our guest, she's a mom of two, psychologist and mindfulness coach based in Barcelona. What we love about you, it's how real you are in about motherhood in social media, right? I like that I have here no perfect mom rules, no guilt about repeating meals, TV after school,
for sure.
having friends over, like parents can have a glass of wine while the kids are running around, right? So, and you're very clear about something else as well. Very important that therapy helps.
Definitely.
Right? So today we have Monika Varela to talk about real life, real moms, and to letting go a bit of that guilt that we all have, right? Welcome, Monika.
Welcome.
Thank you, Julie and Chris. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. Yeah.
So what do you think if we start, you tell us a bit of yourself and about your journey in motherhood?
Sure. So, like you said, I'm Monica. I'm a psychologist here in Barcelona, Spain. And I work also as a mindfulness trainer. And I'm a mom of two little kids. They are Theo, who's 5, and my daughter Hara, who is 3. They're completely different kids, and my mothering experience has actually been completely different with both of them, and I was already working as a psychologist before being a mom. But after motherhood, especially after maybe the first 6 months, where there's so much of an identity shift, and me myself having wanted to be this perfect mom at the very beginning, I decided that part of my practice had to go into helping women who felt overwhelmed with motherhood, who felt disconnected from their bodies, from themselves, or who were not who are not understanding that each other with their partners, and that's how I started working with moms. I use mindfulness in most of my practices because mindfulness is something that has been with me since I was 20 years old, when I was burnt out, but in college and university, just life was too much for me. And that's when I started meditating. And to me, it's really important for moms to find tiny moments during the day to intentionally connect with themselves. Because the reality is, I know that on social media, there's so many mothers who can post, I don't know, they do their prayers in their mornings, or they're meditating for half an hour a day, and that's amazing. But even though I'm a mindfulness coach, I'm honest with my clients that I'm not always meditating that half an hour every day. It's almost impossible, because the truth is I'm tired, So, but there are small activities that we can do during the day that help us reconnect with ourselves. And that's what I was trying to do with my social media profile. And I was also trying to share real motherhood moments, because at the beginning, what you said, Chris, about TV, for example, I remember before I had kids, but even when I was 18 years old, I had this idea that television was bad for us, and that if I ever became a mom, I wouldn't let my kids watch TV. Or I had this idea that I would never even stroke my child while they were watching TV, because in my head of the perfect mom, if you touch your kids while they're watching TV, then you were giving them extra stimulus, like telling them that TV was something good, and that wasn't something that I would ever do. Okay, that was my 18-year-old self when I was an au pair. Those were the ideas that I had, and I can't believe that I had those ideas, like, where did they come from? And it's just messages that we pick up from society about having to be perfect, because no one ever told me that TV was bad either. So when I became a mom and I started sharing parts of my life in social media, I was like, I'm going to show the truth is that now TV actually helps me, so that I can go do some things. And of course, and I love giving my kid, my 5-year-old, foot massages while he's watching TV, and it's okay, you know?
It's great. Like everything changes with different times of our life. But let me ask you, was motherhood always something that you wanted and you felt that you want to be a mom, or it's something that came with the time?
Okay, this is a really good question because I never wanted to be a mom. Okay. Um, I don't know why I didn't want to be a mom, but I come from a family in El Salvador, which is a very traditional country, and I have 3 brothers. Okay. And I think not I think, I mean, I went to a lot of therapy because my childhood was very difficult because my older brother didn't like me. So we could say that I was abused psychologically and emotionally by my older brother. So my home wasn't a safe space for me, even though, I mean, I love my parents and I had everything I needed. We come from a privileged part of this country, you know, where I went to a private school, I speak English, and I had everything I needed, but I think that because I wasn't happy as a child, I thought that I didn't want to bring children to this world. You know, and I always liked my mom, but I thought that women gave up so much if they got married and had kids. So I never wanted to be a mom, sorry. I even had an older boyfriend when I was 20, and he had a kid, and I was like, you see, like there's no need for me to have kids, you know? And I just didn't have this biological need of like, oh yes, when I'm older and I have kids. I imagined myself traveling around the world. I think that's a part that I always wanted, you know, just to like have no attachments. But then there must have been a silent part in me that did want those kids. And around when I was 30, maybe, I had been with my husband. I married, I think, and we had been together for 5 years. I started, like, I would sometimes be meditating and just images of babies would come to my eyes, like, you know, visions. And that's when I was like, okay, I think I'm going to be a mom, you know. And then I had the conversation with my husband, like, I think we should have kids. And it was fun. By then, though, I, ha- I had been with him for 5 years, and I have to say he's from Mexico. Since the beginning of the relationship, he always said he wanted kids. And I think that even since then, when I decided to stay with him for so long, I knew that eventually we would start this project together. And I absolutely love being a mom. I'm so happy that I've had this opportunity and that I'm sharing it with someone that I love. So this is how motherhood came to me. For me, I think it was very biological, and also the fact that I was with the right person.
The right person, the right time, and the changes that coming with when we mature. That's the thing.
Yeah. What about you girls? Did you always want to be moms?
Did I reply to that?
Can I ask this, or is this a
Of
conversation?
course you can.
No, of course you can.
So we can have a
because
conversation,
we-
not just me being interviewed.
No, listen, we met when we were in Ireland and we were both single, and you know, dating times were kind of difficult. We couldn't
Very
find
difficult.
a right person, right? And we were like, oh my God, we're never gonna get married. We're gonna never have children, you know? And you know, it's a funny thing, like, kind of, it happened at the same time. We went different paths, but it happened at the
Different
same time.
countries,
We
yeah.
had our first kid the same month, like our kids, how
Supposed
long
to be
they're
the
in
same
between them?
month,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, like a few days difference in between them, you know, and like,
And we were not in touch at that time with each other, so
yeah,
it was crazy.
we reconnect having the kid after we had the kids
Yes, yes.
because, like, you know, we had them like COVID.
Yeah, like me.
You know.
Yes.
You too, right?
Yes.
We'll have a COVID kids, and
Yeah, but it was a time that I didn't really think that it will happen for me because I wasn't in a long-term relationship. I didn't see a prospects of a candidate that would be good for being a father. And I'm like, it's not gonna happen. I got pregnant when I was 36, so kind of late. You know, now I'm 42 almost. So yeah, it's crazy how everything works.
Yeah, I was dating a guy when I was like, what, 24? And I remember me telling this other older friend that I had, and he became a father when he was almost 50, I think. I was like, I don't know this guy. He just wants to, he's thinking about like settling down and wanting to have kids. And I don't see myself, you know? And I remember this older friend of mine, he said, Monica, like having kids is not a decision that you take on your own. It's a decision that you take with someone else. And of course, there's single parenthood and all this, you know, like, yes. But if, in that time, I didn't even know that existed. And for me, I was just like, this guy is pressuring me, you know? And when he said this, it's something, it's a decision that two people take, you know? That's how it was for me. Like it was what you said, Julia, the right moment, the right person, after growing up and everything. But it's true, you know, it's not something that at least to me that I was dreaming about all my life, because I have met some women who they want to have a kid no matter with whom, like just they just want to have a kid, or they want to get married, and like if the person doesn't propose in 3 years, then they're just gonna start
That's it,
dating
yeah.
someone else. I've met women who actually talk like this, and I'm like, it has nothing to do with like do with the time, you know? It's just like, how are you feeling? So
Yeah, that's true. But listen, like, for me, it was a bit opposite. Like I was in 9 years relationship, and like we were too young, right? I started when I was 18. So after that relationship finished, and then you start meeting people, you know. But then you see, like, yeah, I wanted to be a mom, but it was like I don't see these guys like you know, that material, you know. It's very difficult to picture myself having a kid with like one of those guys, right? Then when I met my husband, like the first time we met, he was like, but you know, I want to have kids. And I'm like, okay, so like slow down here, you know? But yeah, it's true. Like in a moment, like you give up like dating, and it's like you believe like you maybe you it's not meant to be, right? Maybe you're not gonna find it. But then like I got married in January and I got my first kid in December, you know, same year. So it's like, and everything went like so smoothly, you know, like it's easy. So yeah, as I say, like it's the time. It's like whenever it has to be, it has to be. Like
I wanted to ask you, like, when you became a mom, it was like an impulse for you to start helping women and like start creating content on Instagram when you actually show the reality. Was it like after the first kid or after second kid? Or in general, when you became a mom, you said like, okay, like this is not true what I see online. So let me show what it really looks like.
I think it was more after the second kid, just because maybe I was more on social media after the second kid. At least for me with my first kid and also COVID times, I was consuming a lot of Instagram, you know, reels. And I started noticing how they made me, how bad I felt when I watched all these perfect families, you know, and there was the part of me that was angry. And of course, now there's like a lot of real motherhood accounts. But in that moment, I was like, no, I need to start showing the positive things about motherhood, because what I was seeing back then, and I think yes, it was with my second kid. Although I was already, I mean, I've always had a personal account, and you know, I've always shared parts of my life on Instagram. But I remember that because my account now is called Your Joyful Being, because I'm kind of on a pause from social media, but I want to share just joy and joyful mindfulness practices online, or just joyful living moments. And this is what I'm doing nowadays, okay? But when I started, my name was Your Joyful Motherhood, because I was seeing two things: either the perfect life on social media, the perfect moms who have their kids were already reading when they're 2 years old, all the wooden Montessori toys, no TV because
yeah.
screen time is bad, and all these like these kind of messages. But then I also had a lot of exhausted moms complaining a lot about the system or their partners, you know, and so I felt that, not that no one, I mean, of course there must be some people, but I was like, no, I want to show people that motherhood is beautiful and that you can enjoy it without having to be perfect, and that it's really nice to share it as a family with your partner as well. And I just wanted to show joyful, natural, unaesthetic moments with my family, you know, without it being perfectly produced or with the perfect lighting and all these things. Or like, you know, sometimes when you see these great, and I love them, I mean, these great videos of a mom showing you how to do an activity, like a science activity with her kids, everything is so curated on the videos. And this is good. I mean, maybe you need to show this like to motivate people of how making a little volcano with baking soda is, and the kids watching it explode and everything is perfect. But in reality, when I do these activities with my kids, I mean, it's a mess. And now we're having two
Never
kids. I
perfect.
mean, they start arguing. Like I have a clip that I never shared, that my son just got angry at my 2-year-old daughter back then, and he like threw her off the chair, and you hear me like shouting, "There!" Nobody's showing these moments. You only see like the perfect little moment where the kid is spraying the balloon, the frozen water, and the water is melting, and and it's not like that. And then you have to clean up afterwards. No one says about like talks about, listen, you need storage space, or you have to clean up the mess. And I wanted to give like visions of that in my account. And I think around that time is when Chris found me and we connected.
Yeah. But that's true. Like it's very needed, because like as you say, I remember 2020, like with the baby, like breastfeeding in the middle of the night, and everything was so nice, so perfect, and like I was hurting there, like bleeding, trying to breastfeed, like like it's like I don't know, and I was like, how they do that, how they can, I don't know, maybe with 2 kids, I'm with one that's still a baby, I'm here like struggling, and then when you have 2, it's like it's just mental. but I don't know, like you think, like in your experience, like can you tell us, like there is a common pattern like that you notice in people that is dealing with anxiety, or like doesn't matter if it's mentally or emotionally or physically, like a common pattern that you can see?
I think, well, one common pattern is that we want to overdo it. We just want to be excel everywhere in our lives, whether professionally, at home, then as a friend, and then yes, professionally at home, as a friend, and at work. And there's just this constant need of having to do things well, and good enough is not good enough anymore. So sometimes when I'm working with someone and I just say, I remember one of my friends as well, I was just said, what if you just give sandwiches for dinner? You don't have to home make everything from scratch. And she said, and this friend, she's like, oh, Monica, I'm just giving sandwiches for dinner, but this simple change, a tiny shift on what you're demanding from yourself, just makes everything else, all the overwhelm or the expectations and self-demand go down. So I think, yes, I think we over demand things from ourselves. We want to excel everywhere. So, and another thing is that there's also a disconnection from our needs. We don't ask our partners what they need sometimes, or at least I don't, and I don't ask myself what I need. So then I see that people end up fighting with their spouses, with their partners, arguing, and because their needs are not being met, but they haven't even expressed them. So the common pattern is that we expect, and I'm talking like we, yes, like, or I, or my clients, they expect their partners to act a certain way without even telling their partners, this is what I expect from you. So how is the partner going to know? And a simple example is, just because I'm talking about friends' houses one here, but I go to my friends' houses, they have kids, and in this case it's the mom, but it can also be the other way around. She tells the man, hey, please get the kids ready for bed, and then the guy, he goes and he puts on the pajamas, and then the kids come back and we're all in the living room, and then the mother in this case is like, oh, why did you put on those pajamas? He had clean pajamas from yesterday, or dirty pajamas, it's just, and it's like, you didn't tell them which pajamas they had to put. Does it really make a difference, what pajamas? But then we in this case, the mother, she was expecting something from her husband, and then she complains to him, and these little complaints create friction in the partners without knowing. And then you're like, why am I feeling so disconnected from my partner? And it's because I've been criticizing him or complaining to him, instead of talking about like, hey, listen, I really need you to have dinner ready. And by dinner, I mean a complete meal for all of us. And I want you to make it from scratch. I don't want you to buy it, you know. Because if not, what happens? Oh yeah, the husband, he comes, he just takes out the hummus, the crackers, and something else, and then you come and it's like, oh no, this isn't a healthy meal. Why, I told you to prepare a dinner, not to just take out snacks. But then to the man or to whoever is with you, that's dinner for them, so there's no clear communication between couples. And I work on this, and just like, what are you needing first, and then how can you ask for this in an assertive way?
So I wanted to say, because like the other night, like my husband was like, okay, I put the fish to the kids, and like he put it in the plates and he served them. And I'm like, I had to stop myself, like, listen, but you don't serve them like this, like, and I'm like, okay, this is two big pieces. They're not gonna eat them, like, or one of my kids is a bit more like, if it's a bit brownish, it's not gonna eat it. So put him like whatever. We know better than they do, right?
Now, is it usually women doing that? The wives, the partners, like the female partners, that we have those expectations and they not meeting them, but we don't communicate what we expect from them? Or is it working from both sides?
I think it's probably working from both sides, but it's more problematic for us. But it is working from both sides. I mean, men, their expectation is that they're going to have sex with you every 3 days, that's not going to happen. But this is what they want and many need. But they also don't communicate it, but that would maybe keep them happy. Or I don't know, or they maybe they expect the house to be clean. I don't know. This will depend on each man, but they also don't say it. And we're trying to break these models, and we don't want to do the cleaning, for example. I'm getting like, now here I'm talking about like gender things, but still, but it's better to talk about these things. Who is going to be in charge of this? Do you have the ability? I mean, can you be in charge of this? And if you can't, what can we do? But I do think that sometimes we as mothers that we know best, and we just know different, because maybe your kid will tell you, Chris, that he doesn't want to eat the brown fish, but then with the dad, he'll just eat it, because he knows that with you, he can do this. And then and we don't, sometimes I'll talk about myself. I don't let my husband make those mistakes, or I'll intervene. I work very hard on not intervening though. But it's I mean, I work
It's
on
hard,
it, it's hard. It's hard. It's easier sometimes to just pick the fight or to criticize. But yeah. But I
But we
try to
don't
not.
focus on the end result, which is kid will be fed. We focus
Yeah.
on which way, if he's gonna eat with this fork or not, and it doesn't matter, because in the end the kid is fed, and that's the most important, right?
Yeah, and this
Yeah,
has been
totally.
learning, like a learning curve for me, I think, and I think a lot of us have to learn it.
We definitely do.
Yeah. I think we do. It's very difficult, but we need to.
Yes.
But speaking about the patterns of like common patterns of anxiety, what is the signal that the normal kind of healthy stress is not anymore stress, but is anxiety? Like if we overthink too much, or if we can't sleep well, or we have some weird pains in our body, how to distinguish that difference?
I think that if you can't say that you're feeling great, that you're sleeping well, that you have no pain in your body, then you're probably experiencing some amounts of anxiety.
And what should we do? The first thing we should do when we acknowledge that, what's the best action to take?
I think the best action to take when you notice that you are feeling anxious is to ask yourself, where in my body am I feeling this anxiety? Like taking a moment to stop and notice where you're feeling it, or how am I feeling? Because sometimes I'm like, how am I feeling? Oh, I'm feeling great. No, no, no. How am I really feeling? Then I stop and I'm like, okay, I feel a bit of pressure in my eyes. Maybe it's because I didn't sleep so well last night. I feel tension in my shoulders. It can be because I've been carrying my kids too much, or because stress accumulates in the shoulders, especially like all the amount of responsibility. So stopping and asking ourselves, like, how is my body feeling? Where am I feeling it? And then making sure that we are sleeping enough. Sleep is important, and that we're also having moments of doing nothing, like no stimulus moments. Yeah. But you do does need to be a mental exercise of looking at your life and seeing what is causing my life stress in this moment. And sometimes it's
Okay.
just the way I am living, the attitude I have in my life, and it's not even the things that are happening. And I noticed this myself. Like the other day, we were rushing out on Saturday because we needed to take my son to Boy Scouts, and I was stressed in that moment. And it's okay to be stressed, like it's okay. But but for a moment, I was like, "Come on, kids, come on," just like talking to them, like rushing them. And I had a moment of like, is this necessary? Like if someone looks at me the way I'm talking, I'm just acting like a crazy woman, and it's not necessary. But because I was stressed, I was doing that. And it's okay to do this sometimes. But if this becomes the norm every single day, then you're just accumulating and continue accumulating stress and anxiety, and then like the house just starts to go on fire.
I've noticed that sometimes when I go sleep and I just have 5 minutes, okay, like what was good today, what good things happened. And then but I also think about how I reacted to some situations or how I spoke to my child. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't do great, but tomorrow is a new day. Let's change that and let's be more conscious about how I'm speaking to other people.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it's important to have that reflection moment, because if not, we won't have reflect on it. Or even today, I was doing a meditation with a client. It was just a 10-minute breathing meditation, and at the end, I was like, let's focus on the feeling of love, and who do you love, and let's feel this love in our body. When you connect with a emotion of love or gratitude intentionally, at least my experience is that you feel warmth spreading across the body, But life is so fast nowadays that we don't have time to feel love. We just, yes, I love my kids, but what about savor the love that you have for your kids and just like lie down and think of the good moments that you had with your kids and then feel those good moments in your body. And that to me is medicine. And like even just talking about it or thinking about it, like I'm smiling. And we don't really do this. And this is where I think that having a coach or a therapy session or helps, because you create space for these moments. If you are strong-willed, and you can do these moments, you can do this alone, as well. It's maybe you don't need therapy. But if you don't, and therapy can also be an opportunity to know yourself at a positive level and just have a moment to experience positive emotions. It's not all about going back to the past and healing trauma. It's about this is my moment to nurture myself, and maybe the therapist can guide you through these nurturing moments.
Or maybe it's just as you say, like at least someone to remind you to pay attention to that, right? To that moments. Or like I realize as well when I'm with both of my kids at the same time and they're fighting and stuff, like and then sometimes I see myself, I'm like, okay, like I'm a bit too much now, But like in that moment, like you don't see it, like you feel like it's too much sometimes. And I think this like that's why many moms we carry that, like we struggle with that guilt as well, because we don't have that time for ourselves. We don't pay attention to what we need. We just try to do for them whatever they need, even for our partners, even for the house, at work. Like it's like we are the last.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I once heard Dr. Becky from Good Insight say something like, your kids can go to a daycare. She was talking about the YMCA, which are places that take care of kids in the States, I think. Your kid can go somewhere for 2 hours and have a bad time, spend a bad time missing you, so that you can go out and spend a good time, And that also helped me shift, a bit. I was like, yeah, it's true, It doesn't have to be about being perfect or nurturing 24 hours of the day for our kids, because at our own expense, if you're fantastic and this is what you want to do the whole time, it's okay. But it's okay if my kid goes somewhere for 2 hours so that I can go to the supermarket, get my hair done, and then I will be there. I will show up and I will help him regulate his emotions. if
Yeah, but
I'm taking care of myself as well.
Because I don't think it's possible to be 24 hours every single day perfect. And it's like, it will drain you at some moment. You can try for a week, for two, but then you're just gonna collapse, I think. It's impossible.
I've met people who have collapsed. And I think at the beginning of my motherhood journey, I was a little bit like this, actually. I was going through an identity shift, and there was a part of me that thought that I had to be there for 24 hours. I really did. I didn't go out alone until my kid was 11 months, I remember, with the first son. And then with my second daughter, I went to a concert for when she was 3 months, and I left her with my husband. And I mean, I was a more confident mom with my second, and I knew that she was going to be okay for 3 hours, so I could go and watch the Pitch Mode. And I just went to this festival, but I mean, I didn't go to the festival. I just went directly to watch the Pitch Mode because I really wanted to see them. And, but when I was with my first, it was also very authentic, and it's okay. I really wasn't missing my old life, So in this case, I think that it was easy for me to be there 24 hours, because I really wasn't missing it. But some people do miss it as well. And then it's even more conflictive, because they want to be doing other things, but they feel like they have to be with their kids. And then that's where the suffering and anger starts.
That's true. Yeah.
But I want to go back a little bit. You said something important, that when we experience anxiety, many times we blame the environment around or our partner, and we have to look within at our attitude, right? And I think that's how to do it, how to break that pattern that we blame our partner, that he made me upset and the kid was too noisy and then I got anxious. Like, how to actually turn into ourselves, look at the mirror. It's like, no, you are the problem. You have to calm down. You have to take it a bit down.
Yeah, I don't want to say that you are the problem, okay? Because you're not the problem.
Okay.
But I think that the moment you start truly looking at yourself, through self-help books, through videos, and you start analyzing your life, or you start the path of self-development, of self-awareness, that with that path comes a great responsibility, which is taking self-responsibility, that your reaction is your reaction. It's okay. I don't want to say, and I don't want to be too dogmatic here, like saying everything that happens depends on you, but in a way it does. The way you react is always your choice.
Yeah.
So how do you do it? It's kind of difficult if you don't start going to therapy or get into a path of self-reflection. You won't, And in fact, I have a client with whom I've been working for many years. And with her, I have to admit that I am more of a sounding board. This is a person who does not want to change. This person just wants to complain. Okay. And I love this person deeply. I listen to this person's issues, family issues, and sometimes I always hope that with maybe something I say, there will be a change, but there isn't, because this person doesn't want to hear that there are other possibilities, that you can find happiness when you start looking for happiness, and stop expecting the rest of your surroundings, of your environment, to do things so that you become happy. And this is a person that I've been with for a long time. And sometimes I'm like, you really need to go somewhere else. And she's like, no, I have you, I don't want to go anywhere else. And for me, after that, I always need to do some kind of body movement, to like let go of the energy, because I haven't been able to change this person, and I also need to accept that she doesn't want to change. And it's really hard. So this can happen, and you can have people with you for a long time and they don't want to change. But if you ask yourself, okay, how could I have improved, or how could this have been different? Okay. And that doesn't mean that, I mean, of course, if there's a lot of noise, the noise makes you anxious. Of course it is, but you can react differently. You can express your needs differently. You can say, hey, listen, there's too much noise and I'm losing my patience. Can we turn the music down, or can I leave for 30 minutes because I'm getting overwhelmed? That doesn't mean that you stop getting overwhelmed or stop feeling negative and uncomfortable emotions, because you will continue. but it is your responsibility how you react to them.
We can't blame other people for how they are, but we can control our own reaction to their behavior. Yeah.
It's hard though, that like there has to be a line, because I don't want anyone to feel like, if they're listening to this, that, oh, it's my fault, okay? Because it's not your fault. It's just like there are other ways of living this situation if it's difficult. And then when you do explode, what I love is, it's okay if you explode it, you know, because there's always that space to go back, to reflect, to practice self-compassion, you know, give yourself permission to make mistakes, and then to say, hey, I made a mistake. I shouted at my kids. I yelled at my husband, you know, I wasn't a present mom for this whole week because I was nervous about this project, you know, and I forgive myself for that, you know, and I give myself love, you know, I did the best I can. This is where self-compassion comes in. And you kind of work on silencing this perfectionist who is like, oh, you could have been better. You could have, you've done so many assertive communication courses that you shouldn't have spoken like this to everyone. And it's okay, you know, we're not perfect.
Yeah, well, we're not perfect, but we tend to judge ourselves like too much, the same way like we tend to judge others as well, right? But it's not just that, because we are very critical with ourselves. We always want to be better, or like, and do everything, as we say at the beginning, right? So it's difficult. That's it. Motherhood, it's complicated, right? So we want to touch as well like the mindfulness. You want to explain us a bit like what it's more about, like, because it's not very clear for everybody. So just a bit, and then we'll go like which small techniques we can use to help ourselves in that, like, as a busy moms, as a busy woman we are, like, we still can dedicate a few minutes to do it.
Sure. So mindfulness is the awareness that, like, the textbook definition is, mindfulness is the awareness that arises when you pay attention to the present moment, non-judgmentally, with a curious mind. So it's the awareness, like, that arises when you pay attention to the present moment, non-judgmentally and with a curious mind. Okay, so that means that you need to pay attention intentionally to what is going on right now. So like right now, I can like take the intention to feel my feet touching the ground, to see that Chris has a blue sofa, you know, and I feel the pressure of my joints against the chair, you know. And this would be a mindful moment where I start like recognizing with my mind what is going on around me or in my body. Okay. And then you have the meditation aspect of mindfulness, which is when you practice it for a short period of time, or between 5 to 10 minutes. You know, that would be the formal practice of mindfulness, the meditation. So there's a little bit, now we use mindfulness a lot as a word, you know. And I'd like to say that there's the formal practice, which is the meditation, but then there are tiny mindfulness moments that you can have during the day, which is when you do active activities and you decide to pay attention to the moment. That can be like when you shower, okay? I'm gonna intentionally decide to take the shower. I'm gonna be doing, you know, just feeling my body as the water comes down, you know, down my head, feel the temperature change in my body, feel the texture of the soap, you know, and then put it on my body. Oh, these are activities that you can do mindfully that help you ground, like stay grounded. And the more mindful activities you do throughout the day, and I don't want to say that everything has to be mindful, okay? And at least not where I'm coming from. Just choose 2 activities a day, you know, because when you start practicing mindfulness, your breathing slows down, and then the parasympathetic system will turn on. For example, it'll be less reactive, and this helps that later, so that later when you're doing other activities, you're not as reactive.
Okay, you're calmer, right?
Yes, but I also don't want to say, when we are practicing mindfulness, yes, maybe you will be calmer, but some people are naturally not calm or not friendly, you know, and it won't change your personality, and it's not meant to relax you. It's just meant to help you see reality the way it is, you know. And some people, I think, might never be that calm. I don't know, at least, and it's okay. Okay. I just want to say, like, sometimes people tell me, oh no, I can't do meditation because I can't have my mind in white, in blank. And I'm like, you're not supposed to have your mind in blank. You know, a blank mind is a dead mind. You're just supposed to, like, slow your mind down and be aware of what is happening around you. Notice how you're feeling so that the mind doesn't go to the automatic thought process, like this monkey mind, that we're going from one thought to another, or that we're watching TV and we're also sending text messages or looking at Instagram at the same time. You know, this is very common nowadays. And this is not being mindful. And this is actually overstimulating our brain. So with mindfulness, we just want to reach a normal level of stimulation in the brain, I'd say. And that's how I teach it and what I want to transmit to people. And it doesn't have to be going on a 7-day silent retreat or anything like that, you know.
Are the breathing techniques as well part of mindfulness?
Yes, I noticed myself that when I was talking about, yes, when you practice in meditation, when you do meditation, what you're doing here is there are different techniques, okay? And you can either do a body scan, which is where you pay attention to all the parts of your body, or you can do a breathing meditation, which is focusing on your breathing, like I'm inhaling, I'm exhaling, or I'm inhaling and I'm counting to 4, and I'm exhaling and I'm counting to 4 as well, or just counting your breaths. I'm inhaling, exhaling. And these short practices, some studies say that just 2 minutes of this already helps calm down the mind, or like bring the mind, yes, I guess calm is the word. In fact, one of the most famous applications is called Calm, right? Yes, so that you can practice online.
Yeah.
If for some reason you can't do a breathing meditation sitting down, like without movement, you can also do a breathing meditation intentionally walking, whether it's in the park or in your living room or just in your room, just setting the timer for 5 minutes, you know, to walk slowly, not too slow, but just normally. And this also helps you.
I was realizing that I do it like when I get too stressed with the kids around and my husband's home. It's like, okay, I just need to go for a shower, you know, because I go for a shower and then is, as you say, right? I kind of find the ground again, and it's like, and then I'm coming out and I'm full of energy. Like the attitude is completely different, you know. I'm doing it. What helped me, but I was doing without being aware that I was doing that, you know.
Yes, because you come back to your body. So the way we need to think of ourselves as a triangle, and we have thoughts, sensations, and emotions, you know. And what happens nowadays, but maybe even in the past anyways, is that we spend too much time in our mind. We're thinking constantly, and normally the thoughts are negative. I've read that up to 70% of our thoughts are negative and repetitive. When your mind is focused on the past, like on what just happened with the kids or what happened, I don't know, last week at work, we tend to have these negative thoughts that will make us feel sad. Okay. And when we think about the future, we're planning, and then we tend to feel anxious. Okay. And feeling anxious, like a little bit, is not bad. Okay. It's just uncomfortable. And the same with sadness. Sadness is an uncomfortable emotion, you know. It's not a bad emotion. No emotions are bad. They're useful. But when we spend too much time in the mind planning or thinking about the past, we're not in the moment. There's no way for us to be in the moment. And we're incredibly tired, you know. This overstimulates our mind, and then we can't make good decisions because we're tired. When we stop, go for that shower, intentionally decide to feel our sensations, or our body sensations or our emotions, what we're doing is we're coming back to the body, we're taking away that extra energy on the brain. And in fact, research says that more blood flows to the frontal parts, to the frontal cortex, to this part of the brain, which is what allows us to make better decisions, to be more creative. And it also helps us experience more emotions of joy, you know. But in order to do that, we need to kind of like stop the mind from going to the past and to the future and bring it to the body. by focusing on our breathing, or feeling the different sensations of the body. Then there's also other practices like mantra singing or visualization, like visualizing a light. And it's also mindfulness in the sense that you're just slowing down the brain and you're bringing it to one activity instead of 1,000.
What I'm trying to do, like I said, in the evening, just before falling asleep, focusing on the positive, what happened. And in the morning, if that's possible, just to feel the gratefulness. Okay, I woke up, I'm healthy, I have a roof over my head. Let's go. This day is going to be great. Like just a small, like ritual for a couple of minutes. But of course, sometimes my daughter wakes me up screaming and that's not going to happen. So let's face the reality.
Yeah, it's true. Like, I used to be a morning person, and now I'm not a morning person anymore because I'm just so tired. This is one of the things that happened to me.
Same here. I operate better at night in the evening and I go sleep midnight or 1. And every night I say, okay, tonight I'm going to go early because waking up, it's so hard after such a long night, but what to do? I have a question about, you've mentioned already about the relationship, how two people get disconnected once the children come, or sometimes even before, but you think the main reason is lack of communication and those expectations we have that, okay, I want him to do that, but he's not reading my mind. Why he's not reading my mind? He should know, he should do it that way. So how we can fix it? What can we do?
Yes, this is a very interesting topic of what to do. We need to open up more and take the risk of communicating our needs to our partners and also listening to them. So opening up communication. And also sometimes what happens is that maybe you already had these communication issues, but you didn't notice them, or it was easy to put a patch on them, because it was easier without kids. But the moment you have kids, you're going through both of you are going through a transformation, a personality transformation. Your whole identity is shifting. And the way you used to cope with these communication issues is just not useful anymore, or you can't hide them. So I think it's important to just talk about the things that you need, and sometimes you need a safe space to do this, which can be with a therapist, or you just need to set a moment in your agenda, like once a month. Let's have a meeting about what is working, what isn't working. Both people need to be open to doing this, and sometimes they aren't, and it hurts.
True. Many companies even have those coffee times that they sit down and they talk about what's going on between the team members. I think that's really good idea for the relationship as well. And like you said, it can be uncomfortable, but it needs to be done if we want that relationship to work.
I have a friend, for example, and I don't know, they love to go to the mountains. But when they go to the mountains, she wants to go skiing. Her priority are not the kids. But she feels bad that her husband is always with the kids. But then one day she like they had a conversation, and the guy was like, I don't mind staying with the kids. I mean, I want you to be happy and just go and ski and enjoy yourself. But she was like, no, I just don't understand. Like, so she wasn't having a good time because she thought he wasn't having a good time, and he was having a great time because he just wanted to be out. And so here it wasn't even like that thing of needs, but it's about the internal perfectionism that she had of how the holiday was supposed to be in. And it's impossible. I mean, you need to accept that sometimes, especially with two kids, the whole family won't be skiing together. There's different levels, different timings. The baby needs to take a nap. So if you can agree on how the holiday is going to go, then the better.
About this communication, I agree. We need to tell each other what we want, but sometimes I believe we don't do it because maybe the way we are gonna say it, they're gonna feel attacked, or they're gonna feel like you're not telling me in a nice way, or that kind of thing. So we stop doing it somehow.
Yes, yes, the way we communicate it might make them feel attacked, but then that's why we have to work. We have to, I don't know if I should say we have to, on our communication skills. It's so good, like role playing this before, or It's very different if you say, I need you to give me more free time. I need you to give me more free time, to, hey, listen, I feel like I'm coming up with this in the moment, but I've been feeling really exhausted and I would need to go to yoga classes the next month for 1 hour once a week. Can we find a way so that we can make this fit into my schedule? I think, I don't know, I just made it up right now, but I think talking like this to someone, if they're mature, they won't receive it as an attack. I really recommend the framework called nonviolent communication, because they have 4 steps. The first step is to observe what is happening. Like, I just noticed I haven't had an evening off in 1 month. This is an observation. Or I just noticed I haven't gone out without the kids for an evening, like at night, in 1 month. Being very specific. This is making me feel claustrophobic. So first you observe what is happening, then how you feel, and then you express the need. I would really need a night out with the girls. And then the fourth step would be express the request. Do you think you can take care of the kids next Friday? Or can we pay for a nanny to take care of the kids so that we can go out? I don't know. Okay, but it's in this frame, with this framework, you talk about how you're feeling, what you're needing, without judging the other person. So I've explained it really quickly, but it's something that works with relationships, with friends, with families, and even in businesses. You do need a bit of practice. Sometimes in the workshops, people can't express their feelings, or they don't know how to express their needs, or they're so used to judging others that they always say, I don't know, the way you cleaned the kitchen wasn't right, and the wasn't right, you're judging, or something like this. Oh yeah, there's the book. I don't know if you've read it, The 5 Languages of Love. It's a book I really recommend it, The 5 Languages of Love. It's a short book, and it's a really nice book to sometimes understand what you need, like, or also what your partner might be needing, your partner or your friends, because according to this book, there are different kind of love languages. Like, some people need time, time with you. Like, maybe for you, the way to connect with your partner is through spending an evening together alone. But maybe for another person, they want to receive gifts, so I don't remember right now the 5 languages, but it's like time, acts of kindness, gifts, and then there's verbal affirmations, good, like positive affirmations. So it's nice.
Physical touch, I think.
And then touch, exactly, and touch. And for many men, sometimes touch is a big need. I'm just saying this because for my husband, it's really important, and I try to give him, this need, always respecting myself, but sometimes it's like, I don't know, we're so tired, we don't there's no space for touch. And they also need to understand that we might be tired, or that, I don't know, they need to find us in a different way, or they need to be more loving, so these things, we need to talk about them.
And I think important, at least for me, that what I need to change and work on, when I bottle up my feelings and my needs, and then I come to the point that I explode and I express them in a very not nice way, like with my tone and with my body posture. I need to work on communicating those things earlier.
And when we do practice this kind of communication, we're modeling it to our kids as well. So it's really nice. Or we can practice it with our kids. And that doesn't mean we're not going to explode, or argue or shout sometimes. I mean, it's life,
What we got from here is like, we need to stop in our lives. Like, we have life full of stress, right? So we all need to stop for a second to think, to feel. It's more to feel than to think. It's to feel ourselves, to get back to the ground and try to, I'm not going to say react like the way we should. Like, let's try to do, or let's try to be our best,
in the moment
ourselves, right? Yeah, in the moment. And let's not punish ourselves too much, like for 1 day of screaming, or like.
No, for sure. No punishing. It doesn't take you
No
anywhere.
punishing.
You're being the best. We're being the best version of ourselves available in this moment of our lives. Like, maybe later we will be another better version, maybe not, but
No, we want to know, like, what does 2026 looks for you?
What does 2026 look for me? Oof. Well, I've taken a break from social media, and I think 2026 is going to be me coming back to social media and finding my voice in ways so that I can continue helping mothers, especially, but also helping people who want to improve their communication skills. This conversation right now just made me realize again that communication and assertive communication and loving communication, apart from mindfulness, which will always be my passion, is going to be something that I want to continue focusing on. So you've given me inspiration to talk about this on social media again, and it's also going to be a year of spending time with my family and being as present as we can be. My mother-in-law at the moment has just started a cancer treatment, so and she's going to be living with us a couple of months, a year. So this is also going to be a new adventure, to navigate with children at home. And I want to learn from this, So this is what 2026 is looking for me. What about for you?
We hope to continue with the podcast and to bring more guests and to open more conversations and touch the topics that usually people don't want to talk with each other. And listen, like, we would love to meet with you again and just do one session about the communication, like you said, because that's really important. How to communicate, how to make our relationships better. So
yes, we can, like, one day later on, we could do yes, like, I don't know, imagine like things that people say in comments, like, oh, these issues I have with my partners or people at work, and then we could like role play it, the three of us, to practice.
yes,
That's just
that
giving you
would
an
be
idea.
cool.
I would love that. Yeah, I need that as well.
So we all do it. I also have conversations that I have pending with friends that I haven't had, so I'm also learning.
But tell us, if somebody wants to book a session with you, how they can do it, how they can find you.
So right now, I've heard that if you type Monika Varela on ChatGPT, you get my number, and you can just contact me.
You do. I check. I can
No,
say,
because people have started finding me through ChatGPT, but no, if you put monikavarela.com, and Monika is spelled with a K, you will find my website, and my number is there, and you can contact me. And I will be coming back to social media soon. Username is Your Joyful Being, but at the moment, just my website is enough.
And we have to say here as well that you do the sessions in Spanish and you do the sessions in English.
Spanish and English, yes. Hey, thank you so much for having me, Jules and Chris. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you, Monika.
Yes.
We're
Really
very
happy to have you here, and we hope we can meet again.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So, this is another amazing episode when we hope we all learn something about it. I can personally say that I learned like how important it is to stop and be grounded. And what about Jules?
I learned that sometimes it's just not the environment and the people around us that makes us frustrated, but the way how we respond. And we should look a little bit within how we respond to situation, and then take it from there and learn to, like you said, ground ourselves, pay more attention to breathing. But I want to say, I really hope we're going to have Monika again with us one day, because there's so much more we want to talk about with her, and it was just touching the base.
Yes, guys. Please, what we could do is you could give us a feedback, what you want to hear about, or like what you're interested in, and maybe we can focus on that and have like a deeper talk with her about it.
Yeah, that's definitely. And let us know, what do you think about this episode, what you learned, and how is your communication with your partner, and what are your ways of dealing with anxiety or stress?
Yeah, go ahead, comment please, and let us know, okay? Take care.
Be kind to yourself.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.